Blade Runner 2049, set 30 years after the events of the original, now follows Kay, played by Ryan Gosling, a replicant Blade Runner who's tasked with hunting down his fellow robots, one of which is Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, or, you know, Batista from the WWE. Batista is in this book. That's amazing.
That is just a piece of the puzzle.
However, he starts to uncover a conspiracy that the Wallace Corporation, led by Jared Leto— oh, for Christ's sake, Jared Leto is in this, I'm gonna kill you!
It's a good one.
Who have replaced the Tyrell Corporation from the first movie and are trying to locate the child of Deckard, as it would be proof that replicants can now have children, something which previously seemed impossible. Kay starts having dreams of supposed childhood memories, making him start to think that he is actually human and may in fact be Deckard's child.
Oh, come on.
Ideas for a Blade Runner sequel or reboot actually date as far back as the 1990s, but because of licensing issues over the original novel, these plans never got off the ground. It wasn't until 2010 that the rights to the franchise were finally bought by Alcon Entertainment when they made a deal with the original film's producer, Bud Yorkin. Better late than never, I guess.
Sorry about that.
But the deal didn't allow them to remake the original film, so they opted to do a sequel instead. Christopher Nolan was the producer's first choice for director, and this idea actually convinced financiers that the movie was worth making. However, Nolan turned the job down as he was a huge fan of the original film and didn't think that he would be able to do it justice.
What a gift, don't you think?
Michael Green and original screenwriter Hampton Fancher were commissioned to write the script, because apparently the latter completely forgot that he hated working on the original.
There's nothing to tell.
And original director Ridley Scott was brought back to direct, as he had wanted to make a sequel to the original film for a long time and was officially signed on in August of 2011. And he wasn't the first choice because—
I don't know yet.
However, Scott ended up being forced to leave the director's chair due to his commitment to Alien Covenant, though he did stay on as a producer and consultant, and he even made several uncredited rewrites to the screenplay. Eventually, the studio finally selected Denis Villeneuve as director, as they had previously worked with him on the movie Prisoners. Villeneuve was actually very hesitant to work on the movie, as he had never worked on such a big budget production before, and he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to live up to the legacy of the original film. However, he was eventually convinced when he read the screenplay and learned of Scott and Fancher's involvement. I would have never been able to pitch myself for this movie. It's so bold, dangerously ambitious, and a frightening project. At first I said, why me? But then I understood why they chose me. They know my sensibility very well. I read the screenplay several times. I loved it so much, but I didn't want to have this burden on my shoulders. It was a very risky project. I was saying to myself that I needed to find inside me all the technical skills. Everybody might hate me for doing this, but because of the power of the story, I felt moved and decided to say yes. When it came down to casting, the role of Kay was specifically written with Ryan Gosling in mind. But even though he loved the script, he was also hesitant to accept the role. Gosling had never worked on a big budget movie before, and he had gained a reputation for being extremely picky with the roles he took.
It's just unusual.
However, he eventually accepted the role as he trusted the director's instincts, and he was a huge fan of the original film. Speculation about Harrison Ford's involvement in the sequel had been circulating in the media since the project's announcement, and initially the producers denied that he would be involved at all. However, they eventually approached Ford with the script in 2014, and he was so impressed that he immediately agreed, as he had been interested in reprising his role ever since working on the original film's final cut in 2007. However, Ford and Edward James Olmos were the only actors from the first film to reprise their roles. Well, the first movie was such a walk in the park, I can't imagine why.
Guess we're about to find out.
In fact, outside of Ford, Gosling and Robin Wright— where have they even got Robin Wright in this? She ruined Forrest Gump's life, the hell do you
He destroyed it.
The rest of the cast was made up of mostly lesser-known actors, as Villeneuve wanted the audience to see the characters rather than the actors playing them, a choice that Scott had made during the making of the first film to great effect. But if you want to know something even crazier, David Bowie was the director's first choice for the villain, but he sadly passed away before he was able to offer him the part. So he then gave the role to Jared Leto, as he felt he possessed the same presence as the late rock legend. This guy put Jared Leto on the same level as David Bowie.
I can't do that.
Filming began in April of 2016 in Hungary until November that same year, and unlike the first film, the production actually went along surprisingly smoothly. However, because of how highly anticipated the film was, security and secrecy throughout the production was so high that the producers and filmmakers adopted various measures to prevent leaks to the public. Behind the scenes publicity was kept to a bare minimum, the ending wasn't written into the actors' scripts and had to be communicated verbally, and the actors had to hand in their copies of the screenplay to the director at the end of each day. In fact, the actors were forced to either accept or decline their roles within 36 hours of auditioning, and they weren't even allowed to read the full script until they had signed on to the film. The original cut of the movie was actually over 4 hours long, but Villeneuve felt that it was far too long and self-indulgent, so he chose to cut it down to around 2.5 hours. And unlike Ridley on the first film, he had no intention of ever releasing the longer version.
Think about it.
Blade Runner 2049 premiered at the Zurich Film Festival on October the 4th, 2017, before being released worldwide 2 days later, and was met with universally positive reviews. However, despite being loved by critics, the film did not do well at the box office. On a budget of 185 million, the film only grossed 260 million worldwide, nowhere near as much as the studio had hoped. You know, I'm starting to think that this franchise is just cursed.
Yes.
The film went on to be nominated for 5 Academy Awards for Best Visual Effects and Best Cinematography, the latter of which was actually a bigger deal than you might think, as this was cinematographer Roger Deakins' first win after 13 nominations. Okay, so suddenly Leo's wait for an Oscar doesn't seem too bad.
Unremarkable.
In regards to whether there would be a third movie, both Scott and Villeneuve stated that they would be open to making more Blade Runner films if 2049 proved to be successful. However, after the commercial disappointment of the movie, Villeneuve stated that if a third film were to happen, it would have to be a standalone spin-off rather than a direct continuation. Killed! They are killed! Just say killed! Then Batista shows up dressed like the Repo Man.
How long you been here?
Since 2020.
We never speak of 2020. I mean, I'll give the film this much. They find out Rachel had to have an emergency C-section, and they're trying to figure out how it's possible for a replicant to conceive a child. And I think that's a really cool angle to go with.
The world is built on a wall.
I've never retired something that was born before.
Killed! The word is killed!
What's the difference?
Okay, to be fair, it definitely has the nostalgia thing down as they go through the old recordings of Rachel's test. This is pretty cool. But he manages to track down the dude who used to work for Deckard to try to locate him. Surprisingly, Jared Leto is actually really good in this movie. He actually is really threatening and menacing. He's almost making up for... No, he's not.
Oh, you don't even smile.
But replicants can smile. I mean, throughout the entire first movie, we constantly see replicants smiling. I mean, for this movie, we're supposed to believe that Kay is a replicant. That's what we're led to believe. And now they're making a big deal out of the fact that he doesn't smile. Oh, he must be a replicant. He doesn't smile. But replicants can smile! Like, what's the point of that line? Did they even watch the first film? Alright, fair play. Just have Ryan Gosling walk slowly away from anything on fire. Automatic badass points. Alright, he starts questioning his memories, and most of the film is them trying to figure out if they're real or constructed. And again, this is a really nice idea. But we're nearly at the hour mark now, and what exactly has happened? They find Rachel's body, discover she was pregnant and had a baby, find out she was a replicant and so was Gosling. Okay, that does sound like it's going to be a lot for an entire hour. But then nothing else happens for another hour. There's slow pacing, and then there's non-existent pacing, because it takes forever to get anything else going in the story.
Okay.
Must be Windows Vista. But hey, have one of the most cliched scenes in movie history, as Kay gets approached by a bunch of kids who treat him like the Holy Messiah. Yep, never seen this before. Except, you know, The Matrix Reloaded, Avatar, Shrek, Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1, Batman v Superman, Passion of the Christ.
A real boy now.
I got no strings to hold me down.
I do like the idea of diving into the world of the replicants as they're trying to find out who they truly are, but the delivery just isn't very good. It's just boring and it drags more than my sliding down the side of the toilet bowl and it won't go away, so I'll keep aiming my on it for days, hoping to slowly remove the stain, adding bleach but never scrubbing it because I don't want to go anywhere near it. Oh, he can emote! Only took 80 minutes. Oh, and we find out he's not actually a replicant. So is there a reason he's been an emotionless robot this entire time?
What the is with you? I put you on a case. I impressed on you the importance of that case, and then we pick you up around outside an upgrade center?
Robin Wright judging someone else for being a prick. Now I've seen it all. God, a woman is seducing Ryan Gosling and I don't care! This movie has like 2 hours of filler. It drags so much. Just hurry up and get Old Man River involved. Seriously, for a while, it is literally just Ryan Gosling walking around killing time. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't do anything. He just walks around chilling. For the love of God, do something! Oh, he hit a key! He hit a key! Exciting stuff! But there he is, 900-year-old Harrison Ford, looking like he's just come out of the cemetery.
I just have some questions.
What questions?
Why the have you made so many Indiana Jones movies? But this is just sad. We are watching a pensioner beat up Ryan Gosling. Can we just see the realistic version, please, where Gosling knocks him out in one punch and breaks his hip?
I like this song.
Alright, that was funny. And to be fair, it is pretty cool to see them decide to team up.
Joe,
What do you want, Joe?
I want to ask you some questions.
Like what?
I went to the shop and bought some flour.
Why don't you just answer the question?
What question?
Exactly!
You didn't even meet your own kid?
I tried, but then the little prick stabbed me with a lightsaber. Look at this. Ryan Gosling is dying on the ground, and I couldn't be more bored. There's so much filler, it takes forever for anything to happen in this movie. The first hour is slow as but that's the only story there until the 2-hour mark. You have to sit and touch your dick until he decides to add more story. We're 2 hours in. At this point, the original film will have finished. I just assumed Ryan Gosling was the lost child of Deckard, but it seems far too obvious. And I swear to God, if it is, I'm gonna be angry and I'll say nasty things.
Dying for the right cause is the most human thing we can do. You led Wallace to Deckard.
She says Deckard.
You cannot allow Deckard.
She said it again. She says it so straight-faced as well. Deckard.
You must kill Deckard.
Deckard. But Jared Leto's back.
Of course it is.
Must be expensive.
Very. I'm Rachel.
Back when I actually had a career.
I know what's real.
My dementia, dentures, and diabetes. Alright, Jared Leto continues to impress though. I can't commend his performance enough here. He genuinely is so creepy. Oh great, now Grandpa Joe gets to smash a 30-year-old. Must be his lucky day.
Don't you love me?
No, I don't feel like raping today, honey. There's actually this big dramatic scene where Gosling saves Deckard's life, and I still don't care. You got Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford and robots, and I'm bored shitless. Yes. Okay. Alright. Move on. Yes, it looks very good. Yes. Oh, just cut! But now it's time to finally see who Deckard's real child is. Oh. I don't even remember who she was. Apparently she was a doctor from earlier. I don't remember her. Bit of a letdown. This movie sucks! It's just boring, which is the absolute worst thing a movie can be. They give Harrison Ford nothing to work with, and he doesn't even seem like he fits in here. He's just there because he's Harrison Ford. If he wasn't in it, I'd honestly forget this was a Blade Runner movie. Ryan Gosling is actually pretty good, he can't be blamed for this. And Jared Leto is great. To be fair, I don't really have a gripe with any of the supporting cast either. It's really well acted, and the cinematography is spectacular. It surprisingly matches the original film's tone really well. But for every good idea they have, it's delivered in the most mundane and boring way imaginable. It's just over 2.5 hours long, and there's really no need for it to be. Longer doesn't automatically make it better, unless we're talking about my penis. And even if you disagree and like this movie, more power to you. But I don't see any reason why the hell this movie is one that you should see before you die. How the hell did it get it in this book? What did it do that the original film didn't do better 35 years earlier? I don't know, maybe it's just not for me, but my recommendation would be to just stick to the original. However, he starts to uncover a conspiracy that the Wallace...